Previously on Cabinet of the Strange and Macabre.
A rock. All 340 tons of it. The new, the different, and the ugly.
What? They've come up with some new buzzwords and they've written them down in orange?
That's how far standards have fallen. How did this happen? Standards declined until there were no standards. All that was left, a rock. How can art be objectively measured, unchallenged? With cow dung and pornographic images, please analyze my studio apron.
I'll pull the skeletons out of your closet and go through your dirty laundry, and with that I mean I'm going to Google your name.
That's how far standards have fallen.
And this time... So right off the bat, Robert has a pretty legit online presence. His Wikipedia page, however, is the funniest shit ever. I mean, I was aware of those disclaimers they sometimes put in front of articles, which have something fishy about them or might not be entirely correct. Robert's article doesn't have one or two of those, but three. And on top of that, there's also a citation needed behind every single point in his biography. So maybe we should take all of this with a grain of salt, because it looks like himself or someone close to him did some editing on this article. Luckily his article had some references, and so I tracked down the page of his old high school where he's actually in the Hall of Fame. And what I could read there is actually much more informative than Wikipedia. And what should I say, I was kind of hoping to get on here and find out that this guy is nothing but a big huckster, but apparently he's legit. He actually sold some pretty impressive paintings, and if this high school Hall of Fame website is a credible source, then he actually holds a bachelor's degree in fine art. But that's not too impressive. I mean, I know people with a bachelor's degree in arts. So let's dive deeper into that rabbit hole. Let's have a look at his art. And the best way to do so is his website, which I'll of course link for you in the description of this here video, and I urge you to check it out for yourself, because, what should I say, his stuff's pretty good. I mean, it's a bit kitschy for my taste, but it's competently made, and some of the paintings are downright beautiful, so yeah, this guy isn't a bad artist. Here, I'm even going to show you that one of the more outlandish claims from his high school article is actually true. The article stated that the late king of pop, Michal Jackson, actually not only commissioned a painting from Robert at one point, but also used part of that painting as a logo for his Neverland ranch. The painting in question is named Neverland Valley, and you should see it right about now somewhere on the screen. And as you are going to see here in a minute, when I'm going to type Michal Jackson Neverland Ranch logo into Google like the fucking genius I am, the boy sitting on the moon from the painting actually was the logo placed in front of the entrance of the Neverland Ranch. This is legit. Knowing all that, I feel kind of bad for being so hard on Robert. Maybe he really is just a kooky old artist with views that differ from my own. Maybe I should just take the time and listen to the rest of his argument. Okay, Robert, it's your turn again. Bring it on.
And who will determine quality is another challenge I'm given. If we are to be intellectually honest,
you don't get to use that word anymore. Oh, right, I didn't want to harp on him that much anymore. Okay, sorry, go on.
We all know of situations where professional expertise is acknowledged and depended upon. Take figure skating in the Olympics, where artistic excellence is judged by experts in the field. Surely we would flinch at the contestant who indiscriminately threw himself across the ice and demanded that his routine be accepted as being as worthy of value as that of the most disciplined skater.
I guess I wouldn't flinch so much as laugh my ass off, because that sounds pretty hilarious.
But point is, your metaphor sucks. I mean, ice skating, as far as I am aware, is a competition with a set of rules which are agreed upon and known by the contestants as well as the judges in advance. And you really don't strike me as an expert on ice skating, mate, because you see, there was a scandal in 2002 where the rating system for Olympic ice skating actually had to be changed because the old one was too subjective. The new system actually features a second panel of judges who are only there to look at the technical aspects of the performance. And of course, that's not the only point the contestants are judged by. There are also aspects like performance and interpretation. See? Now you've learned something about ice skating. Still don't really see how anything you just said about figure skating is true for art in any way. But at least I could show off that I'm smart enough to type figure skating rules into Google. Also, I have the weird feeling that you're going to try and beat me over the head with some new outlandish claim and some more buzzwords right about now, so go on.
Not only has the quality of art diminished, but also the subject matter has gone from the transcendent to the trashy.
Look, I can make random words appear on the screen. Great argument, man, really.
Where once artists applied their talents to scenes of substance and integrity from history, literature, religion, mythology, etc., many of today's artists merely use their art to make statements, often for nothing more than shock value. Artists of the past also made statements at times, but never at the expense of the visual excellence of their work.
Whoa, that was quite a bit to unpack. Can you prove to me that artists of today don't make art concerning those topics anymore? Because I'm pretty sure that there's still art being made about religion and history and literature and all that stuff. Do you remember the painting, The Holy Virgin Mary, you brought up earlier in this video? That was a contemporary piece with a theme of religion. I'm also pretty sure you know very well that there were artists in the past, however you define the past, who created unpleasant or disturbing pieces to make a point of sorts. Also, you once more neglected to give us the titles of the paintings you showed, or tell us who painted them. Shame on you.
It's not only artists who are at fault. It is equally the fault of the so-called art community, the museum heads, gallery owners, and the critics who encourage and financially enable the production of this rubbish. It is they who champion graffiti and call it genius, promote the scatological and call it meaningful.
So you are aware that there's an art community which has large influence on the contemporary art scene, or at least the artistic mainstream? Now, maybe you should ask yourself the question, if all the art these days looks like total shit to you, but only to you, and it's still in museums and galleries, which are nonetheless capitalist enterprises, and thus rely on people going there looking at the art and paying the oftentimes hefty entrance fees, that maybe not modern art is a problem, but you're just a snob? Don't get me wrong, but there's nothing inherently bad about having an acquired taste. But do you really have to call everything you don't like rubbish and make an entire video claiming that it's somehow a sign of the degradation of some vague standard of artistic perfection we apparently had at one time? I mean, it kind of looks like your argument just boils down to I think this sucks, therefore it's not art because I said so. But I guess you can always try and find people to blame for why you don't like art these days. Maybe the critics, or the gallery heads, or the satanic Illuminati agenda.
It is they who, in reality, are the naked emperors of art. For who else would spend $10 million on a rock and think it is art?
Dude, what's your weird fixation on that rock? I mean, seriously, I know you might feel like you're between that thing and a hard place here, but you really shouldn't be the first one to throw it, since it's really heavy and you're quite old, I mean. Well, I guess I have to be stoned to really get your reasoning here. It is a really dense piece of art, but I think the puns you can make about it really rock.
But why do we have to be victims of all this bad taste?
Oh, come on. I really tried with those rock puns. Anyway, who said we you're talking about all the time? Do you have some kind of, mental thing?
We don't.
Okay, relax. I was just asking. Oh shit, I think this guy's trying to out-crazy me. Well, better go off on a long, rambly tangent. So here we go. Since this is pretty much the end of the video and our friend Robert here is going to make his final argument in a bit, I want to use this occasion to bring on my last really serious argument. But this one is a good one, I think. You know, there's one major misconception in the PragerU video about art and how the art community and artistic tradition work. And I think addressing that misconception could more or less dispel their entire argument. Robert, or at least the people writing the script for him, seem under the impression that contemporary art exists as some sort of homogeneous entity, that there is only one certain way art is made at a certain point in history, and that art at one point evolves above that, either into something better and more refined, or something that Robert simply doesn't like. It also seems that in this very narrow and simplified understanding of art, the members of a new emergent artistic tradition do not expand upon or draw from the previous one, which in reality is simply wrong, because even in this video, amongst the cherry-picked examples, we have seen modern artists doing exactly that. It would be hard not to do so, since at least according to most contemporary opinions in art philosophy, including my own, art can only exist in a context of artistic tradition. So what do I mean by that? Well, first off, the evolution of art is different from, for example, technical progress. If we look at, let's say, the light bulb, it's pretty obvious in which direction that invention progresses. A light bulb has a purpose, which is obviously to light things for the lowest possible energy cost and the longest possible time without breaking down. So if you were to construct a new type of light bulb, the objective would be clear. You would be working on its luminosity, longevity, and energy efficiency. But what would be the things you'd work on when creating a new piece of art? Well, I can't tell you, because as far as I'm aware, there is no one clear objective to art. Thus it would be hard to imagine an art world which adheres to linear progression. The art world can be seen more like a dialogue. While it is true that at most times there is something like an artistic mainstream, that does not mean that other types of art are not produced. People who create art are generally aware of what came before them and what is contemporary to them, and many pieces are created as direct reactions to or rejections of previous artistic conventions. If you want to find out more about that and why certain things are considered art from somebody more eloquent than some random weirdo on the internet drawing trippy stuff, I can only recommend Arthur C. Danto's Transfiguration of the Commonplace. I was originally going to put up some quotes from that, but I only have the German version lying around, so maybe I'll do a later video on that book. But in the meantime, consider the following. One type of artwork, which, judging by what we have seen so far, would trigger the shit out of people at PragerU, is the ready-made. The first example of that particular type of art is a sculpture called Fahrradrad by Marcel Duchamp. That sculpture only consisted of the wheel of a bike mounted to a bar stool, able to spin. This sculpture, by the way, was not only the first ready-made, but also the first kinetic sculpture and likely the first fidget spinner. In general, a ready-made is defined as a piece of art which is created by taking a single object, or in the case of assisted ready-mades, multiple combined objects, taking them from their usual expected environment and transferring them into the atmosphere of the art world. The point in doing so is of course to challenge our understanding of what is art, of what makes an object art. Is it the fact that it's standing around in a gallery? Or is it the fact that there's a little sign beneath it saying that it's art? Or maybe that someone has intended it to be art? Does it have to look a certain way or fulfill some sort of standard? If those weren't prevalent questions in the art community, we probably would never have gotten ready-mades and therefore missed out on wonderful pieces like Fahrradrad or Aaron Kurilov's Laundry Bag. Another piece I just wanted to highlight here real quick because I find it quite amusing. Like the name would suggest, it consists of a laundry bag which is nailed to a green wooden board with a small sign under it saying laundry bag. But getting back to the topic of artistic ventures undertaken as a response or in reaction to previous pieces, Isn't that also kind of the reason why we have, say, a certain painting featuring elephant dung and images of naked asses, which is intended to critique the strong sexual undertones in old religious paintings? Or a giant rock, which is there to challenge the concept of form in artistic installations? Or even someone who's using traditional realistic painting techniques to make portraits of famous people for money? I mean, I don't think Michal Jackson's a figure of religion or mythology. Anywho, this tangent is going on almost as long as the original video, so guess I'll give Robert a moment to bring on his conclusion.
By the art we patronize at museums or purchase at galleries, we can make our opinions not only known but felt. An art gallery, after all, is a business like any other. If the product doesn't sell, it won't be made.
So you were aware of that all the time? Or did you just listen to me and learn something and now you pretend that it was your argument from the beginning? Oh, gosh. You're just trolling me, aren't you, Robert? I mean, if you're aware of your power as an audience member, why are you sitting around here making this video? Go out and find some art exhibition focused on realism. I mean, those are still around. That's a thing that exists out there and you can go to in a museum. I really don't get that misconception that just because these days there is something like a plurality of expression, people have just suddenly stopped to paint realistic stuff. There was a huge exhibition on American realism from the 60s until now, only a few months ago, like 2 cities over from where I live. So, Robert, if you want to feast your eyes upon some contemporary art that you might actually enjoy, I have some recommendations for you. Are you, for example, aware of Stone Roberts, a contemporary artist who's mostly known for creating large-scale oil paintings, which realistically depict scenes from everyday life in great detail? I think I'm just going to leave you with Grand Central Terminal, one of his most noteworthy works, and also one I had the pleasure of seeing in person as a part of the previously mentioned exhibition. So yeah, maybe it's time to climb down from your ivory tower, visit a museum, or maybe even go out and buy some pieces of realistic art if you want so badly to support a style which fits your personal taste, which is of course understandable. Or do you have any better course of action?
We can also support organizations like the Art Renewal Center that work to restore objective standards to the art world.
Well, I won't do that because I just was on their website, and while it's a nice looking website, they have a very lengthy and wordy mission statement that once again strikes me as them being kind of a bunch of uppity, snobbish douche nozzles who love to hear themselves drone on about how realism is the only way and art these days has just gone to shit. So I kind of get why you like them. And while at first I found it pretty commendable that their website features an online art gallery with a search engine where you can look at some pretty nice realistic paintings, there's some weird subscription system you have to get involved with in case you want to see any of the paintings in anything resembling good quality. So yeah, screw them I guess. Well, Mr. Florczak, this brings us to the end of our time together. I tried to avoid saying your surname the entire time because it's so damn hard to pronounce. I am the artist mostly referred to as Holder539, and this has been the Cabinet of the Strange and Macabre. Goodbye, everybody.
Let's celebrate naked and ignore Prager University.